Amen.
James, I'm glad that you made it here today. We're in New York, but we both come from the same area, right? So we're both in
Yes.
Pennsylvania, and
Yes.
you're probably about 20, 30 minutes from me. So I remember Dave, was like, hey, you got to connect. I think he mentioned it to you to reach out to me. So we
Yes.
connected. And then I always say this. I say this to other people, like we should learn to know where other people live because you and I talked for a good 45 minutes or so
Yes, we do.
to find out we were only like 20 minutes away from each other, right?
Yes.
Which led us to getting together for breakfast and everything. And you shared a little bit about your journey with me then. And I wanted to know more about that, right? So
Yeah.
it's like let's get you on the podcast so you can share with others what's happening in your life, and hopefully you can inspire and encourage somebody else that's listening or watching to this. So I want you to just start off first with what were you kind of experiencing when we had that chat in the morning at breakfast or whatever. You know, I know things changed since then, and we can
Yeah.
dive into that. But what were you experiencing at that moment?
Yeah. So I was a former, I say now, a former pharmaceutical executive. I was with the company for 25 years, and there was a lot of outsourcing and a lot of things going on at the time. Wasn't really sure what was happening. And it was really funny because I had an opportunity to build the team that ultimately replaced me and my organization. So since then, it was a little difficult. December 11th was my last day officially. But I look at it as like a faith journey because God changes things and puts me in positions for reasons. At the time, I was a little shook. And I remember sitting with you with breakfast. Wasn't sure. There was a lot of stuff going on. I just wasn't sure that I was the one because I was kind of with the C-suit, made a lot of decisions, built that team over there in Hyderabad, India, and we'll leave them nameless. And I never thought I would be on that other side of the fence, but it's actually been the best blessing, I have to say, because it's led me to so many different ways and meeting people and doors opening. And so I was in a different place then, and then it actually happened. And I would just say that, again, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because there's just so many things. And now I'm starting to fall into my purpose, what I love to do.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'd love to dive into that a little bit more.
Sure.
But let's go back to you were in the career for how long?
I was there 25 years.
25 years.
Yeah. So I was a senior leader, started my way up from the top, came in as an auditor when I was in my 20s, worked on many drugs, phase one through phase four.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to learn from mentors and different types of doctors I was able to work with. And just it polished me. I came in a little hot shottish because I had a previous life of real estate as well. So at the time, I wasn't really interested in working for somebody because for 8 years I did real estate and I was making a substantial amount of money. And I think I even said this to you, John. I came to the point with my wife. We had two little ones, and I was doing both jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and I was making more money than I knew what to do with. But families first, right?
Yeah.
So I made the decision. Well, my wife did to stay married, right? I wanted to make sure that, okay, it's great and all, but as a realtor and getting into the commercial aspect, selling shopping centers, laundry mats, getting into like the bigger properties, I started getting busier. Then I got an offer to be part of the company for a title company, which I didn't do. And I talked to my wife about it, and she says, it's a little difficult because not that I'm a single parent, but you always have to leave. Night times, you're doing deals, you're coming home late at night. And I got to the point, like I made a decision, okay, I'm probably going to lose my family if I keep following and chasing the wind, so to speak. So I put my license in escrow in '07 or '08, I believe it was. And I just said, okay, I'm just going to do the pharmaceutical thing. Worked my way up to the top. And I'm living proof without a degree. I don't have any of the bachelors or the acronyms or anything. At one point, the last 7 years, I had doctors reporting to me that went to school, medical school. So it was kind of interesting that you put your faith in God and anything He does, He's not looking at your resume, He's not looking at your acronyms, and I think it's really interesting what He's been doing in my life. And even when, like, I was shook losing the job, I'll never forget December 11th. I knew it was coming, but September 8th, was my last day officially. And I remember looking back and saying, how am I going to tell my wife and kids? I was the one that held the house up. So I was a little nervous, but I said, okay, God's got me. And that's why I wear the shirts. God's got me, the folks out here. And I think it's really important to just put your faith and realize you really don't have control. Sometimes you think you do, but in my faith journey, it's brought me to such a place of peace that I just know He's got me.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have your ups and downs, but at this point, I've been doing this since December. I'm not really worried about it because doors are just opening up that I can never open up. And you know it's God. So that's a little bit about my journey on that part.
Yeah. So what have you been doing since December?
So I was applying for jobs at first, going crazy, getting everything situated, and I was continue doing that. And at this point, I'm getting a lot of contract jobs. I'm getting a lot of people reaching out to me to do stuff with pharmaceutical industry. So I had a couple interviews, looked at some things, but I'm kind of looking at it as I think God's trying to free me from where I was, because I'm starting to get opportunities to speak on stages, to talk to people from my LinkedIn. I'm using my network, having people reach out to me. I'm reaching out to them, networking, and I'm really starting to connect with other professionals so I can help coach them and be in the same position that are maybe more junior in their career. And so I'm building a business pulse with a partner that also was effective and impacted. So that's what we've been doing: content, building content, coaching, doing what I know, because I used to build teams across organizations worldwide, and I'm very comfortable with it at all levels. And it's been my story. And I think when you don't know how much talent you have until that's all you have, right? That's all I have. So it's like I got to just go with what I know. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to be able to get back up there unless God wills. At this point, I'm just going to go forward and take it step by step, day by day.
Mm-hmm.
So
You just mentioned business pulse.
yeah,
Can you expand on that?
I can, yes. So pulse is P for presence, because I think it's very important to have presence in a business as a leader. There's a lot of invisible leaders out there. And being a leader, I was always very genuine, authentic, and in the corporate world, people who were in the corporate world, sometimes they have what I call Halloween masks on. And I sat with the people that had the Halloween mask on, and I got a chance for 17 years to sit and see what's under that Halloween mask. They're real people. They're just like us. But getting back to the P, the pulse, with the P, being present, a present leader is very important for your team. And I was able to build genuine contacts, genuine relationships, and whatnot, and go into the U. That's unification, like unified. So I think you have to be unified when you're with a team. Everybody wants to say, okay, I got this, I can do it. Like, we're stubborn, right? We think we're men, we can handle it. Like, I got it covered, or women, because there's leaders at every level. And we think we can cover it and we can do it ourselves, but you're stronger as a team. So when you unify and align with people, you'll really start feeling a difference in your team because they're part of something. And then a lead for L, leadership. There's a difference between a boss and a leader. Bosses tell you what to do. They say, do this, do that. They're not really willing to step in the gray areas, right? Whereas a leader is people that go first. They're finish line leaders. They be the living example and a testament of what it takes to lead, and others will follow a leader if they believe in him. Like, trust, respect, very important aspect of that. Then S is the sustainability. That's the most difficult, because how many times do you start something and you're doing very well, whether it's working out, whether it's a business plan, whether it's a podcast, whatever it is. The sustainability to keep it going and keep that momentum moving forward towards your goal is something that I think is very important to have. So sustainability to me is very challenging at times, because you're going to have peaks and valleys. You're going to have whispers. You're going to have critics. You're going to have everything. And what I always say, you're never going to please everybody. Just whatever it is, execute, pray on it, and move forward. And then God's got the rest. And the last one is E for edify, or elevate, I like to say. I like to edify my people, and everybody. I think giving constructive feedback is something that sometimes people say it's negative. It is in some cases, but it's how you approach it. So edification, love your people, love everybody around you, because if you can take people and truly, genuinely, authentically love them and edify them and bring them up, because we're all in the same world. There's a lot of division in this world, unfortunately. And don't judge on people because they have different perceptions. The politics, look at the world we live in. There's two sides of everything. Why does it have to be two sides? Why can't it just be one side? Why can't we just get along as one?
So you run through this process, helping somebody.
I do.
Just write down the word polls.
Yeah, so basically it depends on what the leader wants. So if there's a gap in a section, like I don't see a presence, or if there's something they want to get better with, maybe leading, how can they be a leader? They don't have people following them, or they're not unifying their team, the messaging is not correct, or they're just ego, right? Ego is a big thing in the pharmaceutical world. Everybody has a title, but I get past the title. I think you got to get to the person, and everybody's different. It's not a one size fits all. So I work with people basically.
How do you get past the title?
How you get past the title is finding out what the need is, what's the gap, like the true meaning. And it's usually off-site. You know, you have the conversations you have together. When it's in publicly in front of everybody, they act a little different sometimes, some of the people. And that's okay. That's their character. But once you kind of get through and break through the ice, everybody has to put their head on a pillow at the end of the night. And they all have problems. And they want to be a big highlight reel on Facebook, Instagram, all these things they have, right? Platform. It's platform crazy. And they want their good side. But what they don't realize, everybody, you see what they want you to see, right? I'm going to show you this. This is me. I got it all together, right? I got everything together. But when you think about it, do they? But then you kind of get to the root of the issue with the people. So I break through just by communication, talking to them, getting to know them, and it's a progress, and it takes time. It's not everybody's going to tell you their whole life story, but that's how I do it. And then I find out the need, and you solve problems. And hopefully you can help them, and some people deviate, but you don't give up on them.
So I'm trying to think of how to use this in the workplace, right? So I'm thinking, are you helping just business owners, entrepreneurs, or something along those lines, or are you helping people that are in the corporate field?
I would say both, actually. Whoever has a need, because we're human. I don't just center on just business people, but you find your common ground with people. So there's a saying: lawyers speak to lawyers, doctors speak to lawyers, or doctors. When you speak to people, you just speak to them as a person. They don't care if you're whatever name you are, whatever title you are. Okay, I work with them, whether they're in the corporate world, whether they're regular people, whoever needs a coaching. I think coaching is something that's constant, and I think it's something that's well needed. There's a lot of busy space in there, and that's okay because everybody's unique. So if I can just help one person, that's my goal, and step by step with them. And it doesn't matter, regardless, big businesses, small businesses, individuals. I just like to be a part of their success story.
So working with a corporation, right? You have to deal with a whole bunch of different people in different areas of that business. Do you find that you would be struggling in some area, some parts of that business than others?
I think the dynamics is the most challenging thing, because when you have here, and for example, the MDs are very different from the clinical scientists, because an MD is a doctor and they feel like they're at a higher level in the hierarchy world. And then you have a clinical scientist that would be, okay, there's, clinically sound, but there's division, there's like a leveling there. And when I deal with them type of people, it's a little different. It's challenging because you have to bring them back down off their platform because it's an ego thing. And it's something you learn real quick. Perfect example, when I first started there, I was a realtor and I was doing auditing. I got pulled in and I was doing just great. And I won't leave his name, but I had an executive director, and literally in the interview, I'll never forget it verbatim, he says, "Where do you want to be in 5 years?" And I like the standard question. And I literally said to him, I want to be where you are. And he's like looking at me like, kind of like, this kid's crazy. Like, because I was a kid, I was in my 20s. And the other doctors were around there, and he literally said to me, "You're not kidding, are you?" I was like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "Well, you can't be an MD." I said, "Well, obviously, but just we hit it off." And he knew like I was an authentic guy, and I got the position. And he said, "I really like this kid. This kid's a little different." And at the time, I went in like for everything, all the cards on the table. I was pure, and I wasn't a doctor. I wasn't a scientist. Don't have no bachelor's of anything. I just came in as me, and I had real estate either way. Like I didn't really care, but I needed benefits. So because I was my own guy, so I went into that, and I was really challenging for me because I never really worked for some like had to answer to somebody, but he brought me up, and it was a beautiful connection. He was one of my best mentors.
So how would you start as?
I started as an auditor,
Auditor.
pretty much coming in, yeah. So I started on a study called metformin, and everything wasn't electronic at the time, so I came in doing that, and I worked in clinical discovery. It was early discovery of medicine, and had no interest in it, to be honest. Came in as a contractor, and then somebody met me in a bathroom, and we were talking. I know it's a bathroom, bad thing, but it's a bathroom. And then her name was Terry. I don't remember the last name. And then we wound up having lunch, and she said they're hiring for a position, a permanent position. And I'm like thinking, 9 to 5, like really, like, And I don't know nothing about clinical research. He said you'd be perfect. You have to meet, and the lady's name was Diane. And I did. I met her, and then the rest was history. She hired me, and the funny thing is, everybody's probably laughing because I had blonde hair, like actually long hair then.
Well, you had hair too?
Yeah, I actually had hair, and I showed up in a corporate office with some of the. I'm checking my advanced side, my age, but I had Aeropostale pants on, like dead serious. It's a true story, and Air Jordans on, and that's how I showed up for my first day. And they were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we can't do this. You're gonna have to tone this down." Because I was a realtor, I was like, I didn't know, and I was like, "Well, you didn't read the dress code." I just didn't think of it. I was a kid. I was like, "Well, I got to taper it down a little bit."
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I did so.
Great. And then where'd you go from there?
From there, I moved into leadership. So what's really funny, I created the job descriptions for the roles of the CTA at the time. So when I got hired as a CTA, which is a clinical trial associate. And I had another mentor, and she fell into some trouble in 2009. She had some stuff with her husband, health issues. And when I came in, it was really weird. I was a young manager. I was appointed the manager of the whole team. And they used to be people who were my same level. Now I'm their boss. And it was kind of weird if you've ever had a position where they're your peers and now all of a sudden I'm above them. And some of these people were more advanced than me, I'd say, as far as age. And I was some kid coming in, but I was appointed by many people to take the group over of the clinical discovery. And when I took the team over, I thought I was ready. I really did. And I had a lot of people say, hopefully you do this, you do that. There was definitely not a shortage of any opinions whatsoever of how I should do my job. And I remember specifically, I even had someone say, "I hope he doesn't fail like the other one," because she had to move away, like get out of the position. And I hope he doesn't fail and something happens. And I thought well, they'll be the first people to see when I do succeed. And I just moved into leadership and then worked my way up the chain. And in 2017, I still remember that, I got into the senior leadership team. Mm-hmm. That's the circle of all the high level people, we'll say. And that was really interesting aspect there.
So you started out not thinking of leadership, am I right?
Yeah.
And they fell in love with the whole leadership thing?
They really did, yeah.
What was it that intrigued you the most?
I like the professionalism of the corporate strategy. I like the framework. I like how they covered people, and I did like the genuine people, but there was one obviously that were different, the ego driven. And what got me to go into leadership, I kind of was requested, I thought, yeah, I can take it on. And when I started in '09, I think my nuts and bolts all the way up to 2017, and I got into the senior leadership. Now I was in some premier group where they made decisions like operational, like worldwide decisions. And I think just learning from a lot of people that's been there before. And I just look, and I can tell you an example that when I got in leadership, I literally had, I think it was 12 to 14 people that were leaders, very established leaders, different levels. We'll just say directors at first. Worked my way. I kind of did information interviews with them, and I did this process over 3 years. Okay, and I had about 12 to 14 of them, went through, kind of see what do they do when you have a person that doesn't perform, what do you do when someone's like a high performer and gets bored, what's your strategy of one-on-ones, like a million things we'll say. Jumped up to the next level, got to executive directors, and then I did it with the VPs. And I compared the notes over the 3 years just to kind of see what I had on Excel. Like, what are some of the commonalities? What are some of the things they do? I like that. And maybe I should stop doing this, or maybe do this more. And that's kind of how I built my leadership, watching people by example. Because I think when you learn, you got to be open. And you know, once you know you don't know everything, that's when you start learning. Maybe is a good way to say it.
Okay, so take me back a little bit.
Yeah.
You led about 14 people. Is that right?
I led probably about, probably 100 people.
100 people
Yeah,
at
least.
once?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Okay, so were there managers within that group of?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how do they lead? Because I always hear
Yeah,
these battles of manager or leader.
yeah. So it's just relationship. So it's just get out of their way is the biggest thing. Don't try to do their job for them. You have to trust. You have to staff the people correctly. So here's an example. We acquired a company that was totally different from ours, and I'll keep it nameless again. And there was positions that were managers that had direct reports. That's how they called it. And I had to oversee them. Now, the challenge was for me, we were two polar opposite companies, two different SOPs, two different, we'll just say cultures altogether. And now I had to manage these managers that already were in the industry. They already did it their way.
You
And
had to
now
lead them, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I would have to lead them. But as their leader and their team, we're merging together, and now I'm their manager. So there was some ego there, like, well, this is how we do it because we come to this company, and this is how we did it. Well, and then in putting my information, everything I would have to do around this is the process. It's great that we basically did it there, but now we're one company and we have to start thinking enterprise now. So it was quite the challenge, I'd say.
Yeah. So how would somebody like you're going to start, or you are teaching people like how to lead and everything? How would you suggest to them to lead managers?
I think listen to the people's needs. That's the most important
So
thing.
the manager should be listening to the employees.
Yeah, because you can't, you have your framework, but there's a lot of people that like to push their agenda on people, right? You have to be meek, right? But at the same time, you have to ensure that you're aligned, okay? And you're not the know-it-all, right? Because I learned with different styles, different perceptions, different ways of doing things. But the most important thing is let them do their job. Like as a leader, I think it's very important to let them do their job. And then the most important thing is reprimand them if something comes up. You got to nip it. You got to take care of it. Because in leadership in the corporate world, a lot of stuff gets blown under the rug and they just don't address it. And then guess what happens? It goes like a snowball effect. And eventually it just starts impacting everybody like a cancer. So
How does it get put under the rug?
depending on the leader's ability to push forward and address the issues. So if there's an issue with performance, for instance, you have to really ensure that we do 360s, they're called at the time anyway, and you get the actual information and you listen to both sides, not just one side, okay, and you try to recognize trends and then you do tracking, make sure, and then you have the conversation. It's that simple. And you don't have it in front of the whole world, because that's a very bad thing managers like to do, that I've learned. You take that person aside and you just come at them, and it's tonality. I don't come in and say, you did this, you did. It's how you approach it. It's very, very important of how you talk to people.
So I think there's something called like a sandwich, right? Where you kind of say, hey, you're great at this, but you did this wrong, but you're also great at this.
Yeah, kind of
Something
like
along
that.
those lines is what I remember.
Yeah.
Is that something how you would approach things when you have to talk to somebody?
Sometimes I just get right to it. It depends on the situation. If it's something they're aware of, because I think also, like I was in charge of doing their mid-years, their beginning year. We'd have 5 check-ins, and it's not like it shouldn't come as a surprise to them, if that makes sense. If if they're working with some scientists and they're not doing their job, and then I come to them and talk to them, what I've learned is very funny when you bring it up, how their posture changes, how their response changes. You can kind of tell after all the years doing it, and then you kind of just get it out of them. Really, what really happened. Like I understand that, but really, what happened? And usually it works. And then sometimes on teams, because you have subject matter experts, you have different types of cliques, we'll call them, and it takes a little bit more massaging it out, until you get to it. But that's what I've learned.
So I'm trying to think. When a problem comes up, you should take it on right there and then. Right?
Head on, yeah.
Yeah.
When you can, yes.
But it sounds like in the example you just gave me, we're kind of like, things kind of got under the rug. We're catching up to things, and they should see this coming, right?
Yeah.
So, are you finding the leaders not showing up real
Yes.
right away?
Exactly. Sometimes they let it go. And how you find that out when you inherit teams with organizational changes, sometimes of, we'll just say, employees that aren't the highest performers. And I've been fortunate, and I'm not going to say unfortunate, but fortunate to get them to turn it around because they were shoved under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to change a lot of them ways of how they do things. And it was very nice to be able to be a part of that. And sometimes we had to exit them out of the company because it just wasn't just something they would fix. And that's a tough part. I've done a couple of them too, the PIPs.
You have to be willing to change, right?
Yeah, you have to, you can't make a person change, you
Yeah.
just suggest, but you have to work with them. And there's processes in place for reasons. So we had scheduled events, we had 30-day, then a 75-day thing. It was our discretion, but you have to track it. And then when they missed the mark, good way to say it, like Checkmark, they literally missed the mark. Okay, you realize you missed that. Yes, okay. Come to alignment. Okay, give them another shot. They missed the mark again. Okay, third time. Okay, now we have a problem. Like, what can we do to fix this? Like, how can I give you more training? What is it? We start kind of dissecting it, unpacking what it is that's making it happen, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, is it mostly?
It is or won't.
Yeah, is it sometimes mostly the process and everything that's within the company?
YouTube University, we'll call it, listening to different folks. I don't want to say out names. I had an hour and a half drive one way and then an hour and a half back. So I was always listening to the word.
Okay.
And for 25 years, I've been listening to the word. I would say when I moved to 2020, when I moved to my current place I'm at now, it really started to increase because we found a really good church. And not that we didn't have one before, but it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
And just meeting the pastors, just getting to know the people, getting to know the environment, and getting to know everybody. I've seen the strengthening of my belief, because I always say help my unbelief. That's the most important thing. Because we all have ups and downs, and like I said earlier, we think we have control, but we don't. And I think you go through stages of life where it's a test. And the test is not it's the leap, right? But it's in the faith of what you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
So even now, I have no idea what tomorrow brings. None of us do. But God's already in tomorrow. He's already there. He knows the people we're going to meet. He knows how we're going to get home. He knows everything, right? And just knowing, circling back to the day I lost my job, I was shook, but I was like, okay, God's got me. Like, I started getting a hold of myself, realizing like he's come through so many times, time and time again. Just when you think it's, and everybody can relate to it. Everybody out there, you guys can relate to that. It's just known. It's just something you just know. And it took me about a good month. December wasn't the best because we had Christmas time coming, and I do have a runway, meaning a severance. But I thought, like, okay, I got to buy gifts. I got kids, all these kids. I was like, what am I going to do? I got a mortgage. I'm living in a house I can't afford. Like, what am I going to do? But it's like, it's not what it's what he's going to do. Because he's the one who gave it to me in the first place. So I feel that, you know what am I worried about? Like, it's going to work out. How did I even get a job with doctors reporting me? I don't even have a degree. Like, how did it's all him. So it's like, so I got to that place probably, I would say, after December, of course, after the stress, like January, I started realizing, you know what, I'm okay. Whatever, I'm at peace right now. Whatever is going to come. And it's amazing how the floodgates just open up. Like when you just survive, like surrender, like I have a thing, I just put my hands up when I just don't know what to do. And I just let it come. And it's amazing the things he does. Like I get an opportunity to even sit with you at Life's Checkmark and how we met. And I know your background and we talked, and it's just, that would never happen if I was at PMS still. And I said the name, but whatever.
Right. No, I understand.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's God does things and puts people in your path on purpose. It's never an accident.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know?
Yeah. So how can somebody reach out to you and know your services and connect with you?
I would say LinkedIn's my best, and I don't know that URL, but LinkedIn, just James Rogy on LinkedIn. I utilize that, and then just my name is on jamesrogy@yahoo.com. Just a typical guy, you know, I'm nobody special, but I'm definitely, you know, I love to have conversations. I have a lot of them. LinkedIn's like my place because I lived on it. With real estate, I used to reach out to the world, so I have a huge network. And so if they want to get in touch with me, that's probably the best bet.
Awesome.
And I'll be happy to reach out to them, and just maybe I can be a part of their success journey.
Of course, definitely. So I ask everybody one question at the end.
Yeah.
You know, what are 3 key things you've learned and used along your journey?
3 things that I learned. Patience, number 1. Okay. Listening, number 2. And I would say number 3, you're not done yet.
Okay.
You're just not done yet.
Are you not done yet?
Not done yet. I didn't even start.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
It's
I
coming.
think you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's true.
Cool. Well, thank you, James.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. What are you doing? It's fun.
Awesome.